Good morning. This is Dr. Mia Luth. It is, I think, I don't know what day it is. July something or other. I don't know. 20th? Sunday, July 20th, 2026. And it is approximately 9:17 a.m. Eastern Time, USA, New York time. So, yes, good morning. Oh, and I put my hair up. It's just like a little, I don't know. I don't care how I look. More other people care about that kind of crap than I do. I will say that when I do these recorded on my cell phone one, I only have a limited amount of space. This is not the world's best cell phone. But, the basics, I can make phone calls and medical appointments. I can use the alarms to let me know, hey, you need to, be somewhere at a certain time. I have to do that because on a day-to-day basis, I don't really know, my physical health could be, a rough start. So I give myself, time, and I put alarms on my clock to let me know, alright, you need to, kind of wrap up what you're doing. If you need to eat, if you need to drink, if you, are having a hard time, maybe you don't go to what's next, because sometimes it's, optional. I don't always have to. Because of fibromyalgia, and specifically fibromyalgia that's accompanied with a movement disorder. So the movement disorder is called functional neurological disorder. And I'm going to get to my topic, just letting people know. But the specific part for sleep is called periodic limb movement disorder. So it's a little like restless leg, except it's your whole body. And similar to Parkinson's, when I'm at rest, some part of me needs to move. So when you're at rest, you start, there's a part of me that will want to. So sometimes I need to lay down a lot. I can't necessarily sleep, but I can rest my body. I can try and get my body a little bit of rest. And so I kind of need to do those things. Anyway, I can't put I don't put my description up when I do recordings like this. So my YouTube channel is like a multi-purpose. But again, now I am considered an educator. I have a PhD. I have a lot of experience with tutoring and training and dealing with special needs people. So for education purposes, if someone wants to use anything that I record, you may. You have to credit the stuff, and you can't change the meaning, but I leave that open. This channel will never be monetized. It's not what it's meant for. Okay? Just because some channels are meant for that, and that's the way they say, right? Doesn't mean everybody. You understand? And there's some things that I can't do entirely consistently because I have several life-threatening medical conditions, one of which could put me in a state of cardiac malfunction almost out of the blue at any point, at any period in time. Alright, so that's why I don't care about certain things, right? Sick people sometimes, I'm not here to look pretty for anyone. Anyway, so my Canadian friends, this is meant for my Canadian friends, but I do kind of reintroduce some things sometimes, especially when it comes to this channel, because I'll sometimes talk about metaphysical things. I'll talk about ice hockey things, and especially during the active NHL season. In the summer, I do take little steps and stuff. But again, I was kind of like thinking about the interactions that I had with some of the people online who are actively, Winnipeg Sports Talk is one of them, and the daily check-in with Sarah and Jamie. And, aside from the losing on purpose thing, I will always disagree with that. I will always just disagree with that, point blank. I was just kind of thinking, and I remember one of the female guests, a broadcaster, journalist, broadcaster, female, who was on the Daily Check-In, the Winnipeg Jets Daily Check-In with Sarah and Jamie, and she said something that I wanted to add a perspective to, because I live in the USA, and I'm a Jets fan in the USA, but I'm familiar with all the NHL USA. I've listened to so many different perspectives and angles, and color analysts and radio color analysts and all. And one of the things that was said was this person wished that the USA, knew more about Canadian ice hockey goalies, or talked more. And I'm saying, no, you're missing that perspective, is what it is. Don't worry about that, okay? Plenty of people in the USA are familiar with all the goalies. And see, like, the NHL is in two different countries. Now, to me, I just see the NHL as the NHL, regardless of country. You understand? Like, it's all the same one big thing to me. You understand? But broadcasters from Western Conference, Eastern Conference, radio, television, and bloggers and journalists all openly talk about all the goalies. Plenty of conversation about Carey Price, about goalies that started, French-Canadian goalies, Swedish goalies, and we've even had a British goalie in the league, and someone from France as opposed to French Canada. No. Get rid of that thought in your head. Drop it. Like, trust me when I tell you, plenty of us know the U.S. Right, commentators, broadcasters, announcers, all, those of us who are really, into the National Hockey League and the AHL, one or the other or both, we know which goalies are French Canadians, which goalies are Canadians, what part of Canada they came from. Carey Price stayed in Canada, but others, obviously Patrick Waugh, came, there, was here, and Mario Brodeur there, here, and other Canadian goalies that maybe started in Canada and came to the U.S., or started in the U.S. and went, to Canada. Let go of that. You don't have the proper perspectives. There's plenty of people talk about all the goalies in the NHL. And some in the AHL. And so this is common among all television broadcasters in the U.S., radio broadcasters in the U.S., blogs that have to do with goal in the U.S., fans that listen to their, I don't even know. I mean, fans that have been fans for a little while, typically, no matter what team in the U.S., know the differences in this is a Canadian goalie, and this is a U.S. goalie, and this one's a Swedish goalie, and this one's from Finland, and this one's from Russia. Yeah. Like, no. The United States people involved with the National Hockey League and the AHL are abundantly aware and talk about goalies from everywhere, including Canada. I mean, do you think we don't know? I found that statement to be like, what? Oh, you guys need to know some stuff. So I'm an American, natural born American, grew up in America, and I can tell you for sure, goalies from all over the world get talked about. Okay, fans know, okay, that's, most fans, you get to a point in your fandom, you're just like, well, that's a Canadian goalie, well, that's a French Canadian goalie, well, that's a Swedish goalie, well, that's a Russian goalie, you understand? We have German goalies, we have, right. Like, I don't think enough people from the United States of America shared certain things with some of you. And it's a little sad to me. Like, that person, she said, it's a shame that, more people in the USA don't know about I'm like, how are you saying this? This is the National Hockey League. It has been a happened on soil of two countries for a very, very long time. Do you think, oh, we're all about America, America, America? I mean, you guys gotta quit thinking shitty things about the United States and its citizens, because I've had it. And that was not an appropriate statement. And I want my Canadian friends to know I'm saying this to you, Canadians. Whether you're a broadcaster or a player or whatever, or you're a journalist or a blogger or just a regular fan, no, that statement was not accurate. Okay? Like, you guys aren't all up there in your own little world. You understand? The National Hockey League is the National Hockey League. And it gets played on two different countries. And, well, we don't really see that because we're just looking at the National Hockey League as a whole and the AHL. Alright? So, I kind of wanted to, get that perspective out. I grew up in the United States and paying attention, to the Eastern Conference. I am now much more familiar with the Western Conference. I understand, the divisions, and plus all some of you saying, there's some things that some of you Canadians have been saying that I should be allowed, as a U.S. American who grew up just a fan of the National Hockey League, to tell you some of you are wrong. And you need a perspective, and I'm giving some perspective about okay, United States citizens aren't like that, and they're hockey fans all over the place, and we don't see country as much when it comes to the National Hockey League. I mean, we know certain people come from this country, certain people come from that country. I mean, we know their backgrounds, we know how they got developed. You know what I'm saying? But it's all the National Hockey League. So why would you think, do you think that America never thinks about the Canadian eyesight? Are you You guys need to let go of some stuff, please, Canada, Canadians. I'm talking to broadcasters and press, too. Not just fans. Bloggers, analysts. It's like, it's just not true. You need to let go of some things that you may not have noticed yourself. That, you know what I'm trying to say? I'm like, oh no, plenty of U.S. American National Hockey League fans know we talk about the goalies from all over, including some goalies that are, you know, come from Europe or, you know, come from wherever, including the goalies and systems of the AHL, sometimes even the ECHL goalies. I'm not sure where it's all coming from, Canada, but you gotta trust me. Like, there are some people, even people who work for the NHL or journalists or broadcasters who, you know, do know who I am. I have sort of a net presence, you know, especially people know that I'm goalie oriented, but it doesn't mean I'm not a student of the game. Okay, and just because I kind of like grew up on one club doesn't mean that I don't understand all the other clubs, because I'm a National Hockey League nerd. And after AHL affiliation, that then became the case too. And you know, there are European goalie schools, teachers themselves, goalies, whatever, who I understand, like, the differences. There's a difference in how goalies, you know, anybody who really trying to give me a hard time, I am going to say I have to get legal counsel to get my Twitter, my X account back, my United States civil rights, or, yes, it's inappropriately, you know what I'm saying? There's some things that are going to happen, but I gotta let some Canadian ice hockey lovers know some of your perspectives are not at all truthful. And you should ask a real U.S. citizen instead of making blanket statements. Maybe you should check with some real long-term NHL nerds. And so I'm an American citizen, USA, but I don't see the country as much as some of you guys do. I see the National Hockey League, you understand? And that happens in Canada and the US. And people come from all over. Right? Even some Australians. Right, you see what I'm saying? This, like, there are folks who come in, you know, undrafted, like Darren Pang. Like, I know the difference. I know this one's a French Canadian. I know that one's a Canadian. I know that one came up through here. I know that one's a Swede. I know this one is from, you know, this area or this province. Okay? I mean, I'm not the only one. And broadcasters will, you know, like, to fill time and space, they have, like, autobiography, you know, they have information, and so they might mention, okay, this one grew up with this one, and this one went here, and this one was in the, you know, the CHL or whatever. Okay? So, like, I've noticed that there's some Canadian perspectives. I'm like, I'm not sure you're talking to the appropriate United States citizen NHL nerd. And you gotta let some of it go, because that wasn't really a true statement. Okay? So to my Canadian hockey loving friends, right? Music loving friends too. I mean, I don't care. Like, yeah, I'll let Britain invade me with music, and Canada can invade me with music, and I don't care if everybody invade me with music. I'm fine with it. Right? But when it comes to the hockeyverse, my nerd speciality is the NHL. But over time, you learn some of the feeder systems. You learn kind of where guys grow up, how certain things are a little different. It's why I'm saying NHL franchises, Canada, USA, both. You gotta cut some of the European goalies some slack, because not only do they have to get used to the Americas, because we're all North Americans, you understand? Yes, you too, Canadians. They have to get used to just the countries and the different cultures and all, but they also have to get used to North American goaltending. So maybe cut some of them a little slack and help them prepare. It's another reason why I will sometimes just say maybe goalie needs at 1 year in the AHL just to accomplish that in and of itself, instead of just throwing them right into the NHL. I mean, that's more fair to the goalies, to be honest. I mean, they may not feel like that. Like, oh yeah, well, I want to be in the... No, you don't. You want to get used to some things first. A little less pressure. It's still pressure. It's the AHL. It's semi-pro. You're trying to head to it's not like the worst thing in the world. It's a little more protected. It's a little slower pace. You can get used to just North America. Get used to the English language. Get used to, Canada and the U.S. and kind of adjust your goalie style that's, more aiming toward the National Hockey League in these two countries. That's why I tell people, you gotta give some of these European goalies some slack, and sometimes throwing them right into the NHL is not the best thing for them or your team, or right. I will keep saying that. I mean, they may want to go there, but fans, a lot of fans don't know, so you'll just dog people because you're not understanding of the position, and that's a fight. I got no problem jumping in, and I'll go until I die, trying to get fans to understand differences in position and why certain things happen, and this is something else that some of us know, but we want it to be out, public awareness, fan awareness. There's a difference between goaltending in Europe and goaltending in North America. So there are adjustments that need to be made. It isn't fair to take a young European goalie and just throw them into the NHL, expecting them to be able to handle all of that. Just getting used to the different countries, the different cultures, the English language. I mean, and then they have to adjust their style to fit the National Hockey League North America. I mean, you should give them a chance. And some of you are just mean, awful people who don't understand. And so you just want to bitch at somebody, and you just want to blame somebody, and you want to rah, 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 and mouth off and scream and yell, and it all amounts to practically nothing, because there are some people who should now know, goalies, I'm talking to you, to ignore them. I know it's hard to do, but your agents should be working to, yes, look for these things, and teams and scouts and like the people who do these things should always keep that in mind. And some of the franchises, like, maybe you don't want to throw them right into the... Maybe there's an older goalie who's willing to, right, like, come on board for just that 1 year for less money, right, until that one is ready, you understand? Maybe there's a backup goalie who has, no problem, I'm here just for a year. Okay, I mean, but Canada, you can let go of some of that, like, because a lot of U.S. Americans who are NHL fans know a lot about the goalies. They get talked about. Canadian goalies get talked about as much as goalies from the U.S. or goalies from Sweden or Finland or Russia or wherever they come from. Okay, just I'm letting you know, because I'm a friendly and I'm a Jets faithful, and I've spent a lot of time listening and learning and just kind of staying quiet. The different, TSN, and, I've gotten to know ESPN, and then I got to know this, and I got to know Fox, and there's Rogers, and then there's like this. So I've been learning a lot about how you guys broadcast in your information systems and your broadcasters and things like that. So just take a deep breath and kind of like blow it out, all the way out, and understand that I'm, a United States friendly Hockey Canada, okay? And I'm a Jets faithful, and I listen carefully, and sometimes now I know enough, and I'm sure, so I'm making some statements, and that one I can make at 100%. Canadian goalies are known all over the place, okay? They get talked about as much as any other goalie in the U.S. But I gotta go, okay? So that's just my comment for the day. So, go Jets! Go Jets!